And we are live, coming to you from Alberta, Canada. So I thought I would just get my work done and talk live. Don't know how it's going to go. Don't care. I have something to say. I was talking to a friend earlier today, and we were...
Monica Jane Hartley Hart.
So,
Monica Jane Hart.
Ricky.
What? That was Katie.
Okay, well, listen. What are you doing?
Oh,
Hi, Hayne.
I'm sorry. Okay, what?
What are you doing?
I'm sitting here with Katie.
Yeah. I'm not alive right now, so goodbye. You know, like when you have friends and they call you sporadically. So we talked a different friend earlier today. You have to understand that everything that is encompassing your field, everything that you come in contact with, that is provoking you, that is stirring something within you up, and you ignore it. That is what happens when you aren't really healed of trauma and little things that get to you, situations, people, occurrences, things that are happening, that are playing out, the politics, the religion, all these different sectors, all these different constructs. If you are not purging yourself, if you are not creating an energy to encompass who you truly are, right? So if you ignore anything and put it aside because it doesn't matter to you, you don't want to look at it, you can be bothered with it, right? But you have to remember that everything that is coming into your field is coming in there for you, it's for your benefit. You need to be able to understand that. It's a really hard thing to do when you might be at a sub-level consciousness where you're very reactive, where you're driving and you flip people off, where you get irritated so easily, where things are just taking your energy. With every little ounce that you give it, it compounds and it compounds and it grows and it stirs. And it's very hard for you to enjoy things. It's very hard for you to be a part of things without feeling agitated, without thinking different emotions that are resonating on the lower end of the frequency chart. You need to be able to see yourself so strong in your power that you're able to grasp who you truly are within. And you can't do that unless you kind of like stop things from taking your reaction. And you got to stop them, and you got to have a decision that you're going to stop and you're going to analyze. Okay, so this word is coming to my attention and this word creates an emotion. Why? Why is it creating an emotion? Why am I getting agitated? What is it that I don't like? What is it that is deeper within me that you really need to figure out? And how you figure that out is by analyzing it. Where are these thoughts? Where are these emotions? Where is everything coming from? The center of you is gravitating all around you, and it keeps coming into your field on an orbit, just going round and round. And you might not see the same thing for quite some time because it depends on what type of orbit that it has. And some things have a shallower orbit, so it might be more frequent. But unless you actually look at yourself in the mirror, and by doing that, that might be just painful just thinking about that. And if you're not there and you're at the next step where you can look at yourself in the mirror, you know, it's just like, now, do you like what you see? Do you like who you are? You know, and I'm not talking about your body. You're not your body. You are a being playing a human in this experience, nothing more. Your consciousness. You are a leaf on the tree that's rooted into the divine love, the divine power. And we're all upon that tree, different leaves, right? Sometimes you just need to think about the bigger picture. And you're not so separate. You're really connected to all of us. But if you're able to understand what I'm saying, is that you can just trust yourself to expose yourself. Expose all of these things that you might be hesitant to identify. And I mean, like, I could go on to a complex board here. We don't need to. But anything that's going to resonate with, you know, agony or pain or fear or shame or all these different things that are bringing up an emotion. And unless it's not an emotion above courage, you know, in the love and the peace and the joy and the harmony aspect, you know, you're going to keep frequently playing out all these lower emotions, all these lower frequencies, because you can't move past that courage to separate yourself from them, because that takes strength, and that takes will, and that takes faith, and that takes courage, and that it all comes in to identify, like, are you sick and tired of things that just keep on happening, right? You know, without throwing too many trigger words out there, you know, the politics, the religion, anything that talks about war or all these different, you know, things that are happening in the media, it's all provoking you. It's all provocative. And it's designed that way, right? Because not everybody the same place, but it's going to hit deep. And when it does, and it stirs that energy up, and if you push that energy aside, you're holding on to that energy and you're keeping walking into your future self, holding that energy. And you can't become your true self, your true version, if you're still holding on to that energy. What happens is that you live out that energy. You're like manifesting, this whole manifestation thing. It's your everyday to day actions and thoughts, where you're at, what you're doing, how you're doing it, what you're thinking about, where your thoughts are going, how you're channeling them, who you're sending them to, your actions, everything. When you're able to stop and just, you know, I always explain, like Neo in the Matrix, when he stops that bullet, all those bullets, and he's got his hand held out and he's stopping these bullets from coming at him. That is everything I just said. Each bullet, right? Like people that are talking about you, people that are driving bad, people, the government, the politics, everybody that bothers you or that sparks this emotion up, that creates a reaction, and then you compound that reaction by following through with it. You're creating your future. You need to be able to stop that. You need to be able to self-analyze. Like, there's no easy way to say it. There's no easy way to do it. You just have to. You just have to hit a point where you're just sick and tired of this, that there's only one thing left to do, and that is like get so frustrated that you cannot do it any longer. And then that's when you take that course of action and you stop those bullets. You stop everything that's coming to you. You don't allow it to enter your field. You do not give that or them power. You stay in your power. everything that is provoking you. Say, for instance, up in Alberta, Canada, where I'm at, and the government, and like, do I follow politics? I understand what's going on, but I'm not playing politics. I'm not playing that game. Everything can happen, and you might think it's the worst thing ever because it's not for you, right? It's not what you wanted. It's not what you think. It's not what you expect, right? But then as soon as you attach yourself to a side, you're divided. As soon as you attach yourself to something, then you're not sitting back and observing. You're not sitting back and just understanding what's going on all around you. You're actually attaching yourself to those timelines. Those timelines are playing out. And all those thoughts and emotions and feelings, all these things, they're creating a frequency. That frequency is you. And it is playing out in that direction. So if you don't want things to happen over and over and over again to you, you're going to have to figure this out. You're going to have to be able to say, F this. I don't want to be doing this anymore. And you're going to be able to stop all the things that are coming in your field. And sometimes you can't because you're weak, and that's okay because everybody's different. And you might be weak with intention. You might be weak with, indulgence on addictions, right? Whether you smoke or you drink or you practice some kind of, I guess, drug, if it's prescription, if it's street, or if it's approved by the local government, it really doesn't matter. All these things are intensifying your experience, and it's not allowing you to truly, fully develop. It doesn't mean that you can't do stuff, but it means that you got to pick which one you want. Do you want the rest of your life? And it doesn't have to be so dramatic and like clean and sober. No, like, do you want to have joy? Do you want to have peace? Do you want to have harmony? Do you want to have this life where you're not attached to something that is dragging you down a frequency that you're relapsing over and over again? If you're on the cusp of wanting to quit something, then just do it. There's only one way to do it. You can use whatever as a crutch, and you're just taking that energy and you're putting it one way, and then it goes another way. It's not going to work like that. You have to find some kind of intention, and you have to have a clear intention and a clear path and a clear goal. So when things do come up into your field, that they don't relapse you, right? You don't fall off the wagon. That you're there and you understand things are coming into your field, but you do not give it the power. You do not resonate with that field anymore. So one thing that you can easily do is just consciously think every time something bugs you. That's all you have to start out with, is just think how this is bugging you, and you are taking that first step because you're identifying that something is bugging you, right? You can even say, as a car comes and drives by, and maybe they did something silly, and it's just spur of the moment, but it's provoking you because you're still being provoked, and it's going to happen. You're going to keep getting provoked until you learn not to become provoked, right? And so then when that car drives by and something silly happens, then you stand in your power and you're like, man, that really frustrates me. And then that's the first thing. That's the first sign that you're just evolving your conscience to be aware that, instead of giving them the finger and saying words that are lower thought forms and frequency, right? A lot of people associate evil in this world with people that are going around living their life, but like they're just doing the best that they can, right? And then they get singled out and put in a category. Well, that guy's evil, or that girl, or whatever. They get put in the same category as people that are practicing blood rituals. that are actually invoking on the spiritual realm and carrying that energy with them and doing these things. Like, you need to be able, and you'll see how this ties in, but you need to be able to set yourself apart from that, because if it's those people that are doing it to you and they don't know, it's just that they're coming in your field because you're putting that out there and everyone's playing on this conscience timeline, but you know what you're putting out is coming back to you, and like this is how it loops over and over again. But until you're able to identify that, you know, like maybe that person's just having a hard day, or maybe you just don't want to give your energy out like that anymore. Maybe you're just so sick and tired of being caught up in something that's never going to change, right? You're never going to change Hollywood. You're never going to change the music industry. You're never going to change politics. You're never going to change the person around you. The only person that you can change is yourself. The only person that you can make a difference to in your world is you. And I mean, we know all these things. We grew up with them because they're true. But if you think that you want somebody else to change, then that's selfish, because that's like, you need to change. Like, that person's acting like that is because you're putting out energy that like attracts like. So that energy is just coming back to you. You would know that you're in a relationship with them, or it's your best friend, or it's somebody like your coworker, or somebody you don't even know. All of this is happening. All of this is going to keep happening. And there's nothing that you're going to be able to do other than work on yourself and kind of look at where you're at. Look at what you need to be able to do in ordinance when these things keep coming into your field. Are you identifying them? And then what happens after that? You're going to be able to move past it. Like, okay, I understand that that person maybe made a mistake. I understand that maybe I don't have to act out or lash out that way. Especially when you're an example, you got kids in the car, or your friends, or your family, and you can tell on this live that I'm making an impression not to swear, even though that it always happens, but it doesn't have to. It just means that I'm putting the effort in. I don't want to. And it's just something so simple. I can use that as an example, that you be able to do the same thing. And by changing that, you alter that timeline, right? Because what usually plays out isn't playing out anymore. And you start taking back your power. And the next time it happens, it won't be so subtle. Or maybe it will happen a few more times, but you know, it's just like when you go to the gym and you do this frequently, you're going to build that muscle memory. You're going to be able to look at how well you've come forward in clearing these things that are shameful, anxiety, fear, you know, anger, resentment. Like, how many people are actually living with people they don't want to live with, right? Because they're scared. I mean, scared is also a frequency. If everybody were able to just talk in their power, stand in their power, we would have a whole bunch of upset people. But you know what? You would also have a whole bunch of people standing in their power. They're capable of succeeding past their expectations, right? What you expect, you can actually have happen. But you don't give yourself enough credit to expect what you could have, because you're so manipulated with all of these different tricks of the matrix. So it's like everything that you're amplifying your frequency is going to keep playing out. And until you actually take control of your power and say that, okay, I'm going to make a decision. I'm going to be my heart. I'm not going to have that reaction. I'm going to be my heart, and I'm going to send it love. And it's not the I love you love. Like, love is such a powerful word. You don't have any idea unless you do. But I think that's why people use it, is we've been manipulated into thinking. And so it's just this mistrust, misabused, word that we take for granted, just be able to use it. But the power of love goes beyond your comprehension, and you have to understand that love is source creator. Love is the power within you. It's the source, right? And you have enough power within you to be evil, or you have enough power in you to be love. And you need to be able to make a decision how you're going to use it. Every word you say is love or evil. It's evoking something into somebody, or somebody is invoking something out of you. In the Chaldean cipher, and there's probably 20 different ciphers, okay? And you can go into gematrinator.com and you can go in there and you go click on ciphers. And what happens is you'll have a list and you just click all of them, every single one of them. And then you go save, and then you go to your search or whatever, where you're going to type in your word, and then you just type in love, okay? Every cipher that has a forwards and backward, like English ordinal and reverse ordinal, just for example, it'll be the same number. The same number. There's nobody, or there's not any other frequency in any word that carries the same in a cipher. That's huge. Right? They don't want you to know that, but it has to be Chaldean, and Chaldean is 1 to 8. And the reasons why it's 1 to 8 is because 9 is a sacred number, but the Pythagorean theorem goes from 1 to 9, and 9 is a repeating number. So it's like a washed down results kind of thing, right? But all these tools are very useful. But when you understand the true power in that respect, in that light, then you know what it is. It's not the I love you love. It's the power of source creator. So when you're saying like, I send you love for healing, but you're not like thinking that it's the I love you love. It just amplifies that frequency tenfold. And then you also have the power to just be love, right? You see people walking around while you're driving, and and you might see some people that you think that are more unfortunate, or whatever the case is, whether that's judgment or not, but looks are looks. And so like you can definitely send them love, right? And when you are sending out love, the frequency of love, you're putting that into the collective consciousness, right? And so if you start looking at everybody that's being provoked by the politics here in Canada and in the United States, obviously it's a funny show. Anybody who thinks the politics is real is, I don't know, no judgment, but your time is coming to wake up. But like Biden, like he's a clear sign, right? Like if you don't get that, and then Trump, he's something else. And and so is Trudeau, and so is Polyev, and so is this Carney guy that came out of nowhere. And there's things that are tied to all of these people, right? There's a lot of energy and a lot of deceivedness, and like people sign contracts, and like you can get into the dirty of it, but why? Just acknowledge it, right? And just keep it out of your field. And it's just like when you do get tied to this and people are being provoked, what happens is that you're creating these thoughts, you're channeling this energy. And this is exactly why it's happening to you, is because you can't stop it. And that's what I've been telling or suggesting, is that you need to learn how to stop it, how to, make that decision within you consciously to say, I don't want to participate in that. And that's how you're going to gain your power back, right? And just laugh it off. Like, yeah, there's a whole lot of things that could come and happen because of the result of something, right? And those are all your thoughts, and those are all those projections. Like, you don't know, have they happened yet? No, right? So you're almost manifesting it all into your existence, because you're thinking, you're having all these little conversations play out every day, right? About little things. And some things are big, but no matter what, you're still taking those thoughts, whether they're in your head or out loud, and you're creating that energy, and that energy is now built and it's being pushed out into the collective. And so by doing this and doing it over and over again, you're actually creating that timeline. You're actually putting that narrative together for them, because that's how strong you are. It's how powerful you are, because you have love within you, right? And so if you're able to send out love, knowing that you're coming from a place of heaven, peace, harmony, joy, happiness. Yeah, there's things that are going around all around you. You know, you can identify those things and make peace with that however you will. But you have to, like, how is it making you feel? What emotions are being brought up? How are you identifying them? And then you kind of have to like dance around with it, and you know, not to kick it to the curb, or not, you know, be scared or have all kinds of stresses like anxiety or shame or guilt. You really need to, like, face to face, like you standing in the mirror, and you got to figure this out. Like, why is it making me feel this way? And then as soon as you're able to do that, you take that frequency, and I send it love for healing. I send it love for its journey. I forgive myself. I forgive it. I forgive them. But you don't have to worry about forgiving anybody, because that just comes. It's just like when you do something that you love and you're doing it as work, and you know the money's going to come. Like, you're going to get paid. But you're not thinking about the money. And so then you keep doing what you love, and then all of a sudden that money keeps coming in, and whether you're there or not, you know, that's how it happens. It's just like when you keep focused on what you don't have it. But when you keep focused on what you love to do, you just keep doing what you love to do. And then when you're in tune with that frequency in that field, and you're now building and creating and stopping things from entering your field to pull you back down the frequency chart, and you look at people and you send them love, whether you know them or not. You don't have to talk to them. You don't have to talk out loud. You just think it in your head, because any thought that comes in your head, like, is it even yours? And then you wrestle with those thoughts. So what happens is, if you're wrestling with thoughts and they're not yours, then whose are they? It's from the field. Your brain is an antenna receiver, right? And you're just on a frequency wave, like a channel. And so you turn the channel by changing your frequency. And then you're able to adjust your frequency by taking in and stopping things at the door, and analyzing them, and then letting them go, and forgiving yourself for being a part of who you once were but no longer are, or doing all these things that you once did but you no longer resonate with that. All of these things that we've done, or we don't even understand because of the energy that we bring in, or our parents' energy and their parents' energy. And like, that is where we're at right now in this world. And in order to bring in, you need to be able to let go everything, right? Just laugh at it, although it might not make sense. But when you're at a point where it doesn't even matter, like, what matters is what you believe is what matters. And then by believing in that, you put energy toward it. So if you believe in something that's low frequency and you put energy towards it, you're just compounding and building that. So I hope that that's a clear message, that you're able to take your power back and then start thinking about the love that you're attached to from source, right? And use that to heal yourself, to heal the world, to heal the people around you, to heal your community. And that's how you're going to amplify this whole change. Like, Mark Carney or Pierre Polyev don't matter. It don't matter, either one of them. Like, either one of them could be in politics. I don't care. I don't care, right? Because that's not my focus. Sure, either one of them could do things that upset things in the market. Like, duh. But it doesn't matter. If I think it matters and I put all my energy into it, then it's got me. But by understanding it, no, I'm not in alignment with it, no, I do not resonate with it, but I know it's there, that I'm still able to keep my energy because I can't be provoked, you know? All right. Thanks for listening.